So I wasn't sure if we were being moved to a breakout room or anything, so I'll do that now. I presume everyone can see that, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon, judges. We are Gloss Solutions, and welcome to the presentation of our vision for Revision Military. My name is Aoife, and these are my teammates, Alana, Ben, and Scott. Our main goal for today's pitch is to introduce to you our new and innovative human interface device. There are many problems with the device that is currently available on the market, including ergonomic inefficiencies, being the size and orientation of the device, the fact that there are limited controls on the device, and the inability to personalize the device. Our product successfully accounts for each of these problems, whilst also providing other new and useful features. We will highlight the benefits of our product and clearly explain why our digital and user-friendly device is better than what is currently available on the market. An important part of our solution is keeping in line with Revision Military's activity in recent years. They have been continually introducing products to the market, which incorporate leading technological solutions. As you can see on the timeline, 2015 saw the introduction of Vitris, a fully integrated combat protective head subsystem. 2016 brought laser lens protection and the Snowhawk TM cold weather goggle system onto the market. 2017 saw the launch of Kerman TM head system suite for special operations. In 2018, Revision Military released its most complex soldier system product, the SENS System Comm Center TM tactical headset. But what will 2021 bring? As Alana will now describe, this is where we step in.
Thanks, Aoife. So just continuing with the background on this problem, Revision Military launched two new products to the target market, the Comm Center 2 Tactical Hearing Protection System and the associated human interface device. Unfortunately, there wasn't the same feedback on both devices. Soldiers loved the new headset, but the human interface less so. And this is where Gloss Solutions come in. Our proposal has three aspects. One, the base unit with reduced cognitive and physical burden for the soldiers. Two, modular attachments, ensuring the new handheld device is fully customizable and future-proof. And lastly, connectivity. Our new human interface device has the capability to connect with other devices and integrate seamlessly into new and future technologies. The base unit, firstly, is the key to our design. It connects all the main components together and stores the electronics safely inside. The top of the base unit has a scroll button for controlling the volume, and the side panel has three push-to-talk buttons, as indicated in the diagram. The side attachment, indicated by the dotted blue line, is modular in assembly, and so can be changed to incorporate only one push button or two push-to-talk buttons, or the three as pictured, so that it can be used for all the regular force soldiers up to the special units. There are two further adaptations for ease of use and ergonomics. The rotating lead at the top of the base unit enables the device to be positioned higher or lower on the soldier's chest without wires being an issue. And the crocodile clip facilitates the attachment onto either the front or back of the base unit, and hence facilitates ambidexterity. I'll now hand you over to Ben, who will explain the other two aspects of our proposal.
The different requirements of various military units led us to the second aspect of our design, modular attachments. The ability for a bomb disposal specialist to 1 hour have a HID dedicated to their unique control interface, and next return to the streamlined and ergonomic-based device for travel is only possible through our adaptive modular design. We drew inspiration from civilian market leaders in adaptable and everyday controllers. An example of a modular controller design is the Nintendo Switch, which allows the base Nintendo device to be rapidly adapted to different scenarios, in this case, video game interfaces. The troops' familiarity with typical games controllers, as well as the controller's tried and tested control interfaces, will allow troops to quickly adapt to the new modular attachments made to their HID. This familiar interface will greatly reduce the learning curve that troops would experience in the field to changes they make to their HID. Programmability of the HID attachments allows for a single button to have multiple operational functions depending on the specific setup that has been programmed into the device. This further increases the device's span of applications. The individual modular attachments connect to the HID after removing the protective cover found on the base device. The digital interface between the modular connection and the HID body is through a USB-C port. This USB-C port also allows the device to be connected to an external hardware, such as a laptop or Android mobile device, for programming as well as software upgrades. A USB-C connection was chosen due to its common use across many Android device platforms as well as its reversibility. The interface between the module attachment and the HID body is made watertight and dustproof through a rubber gasket, which is kept sealed via the two attachment screws. The modular attachment can be rotated and mounted in reverse, allowing for the HID to be mounted in many different orientations. Connectivity is extremely important to our devices design, not only in connecting to current equipment used by the military, but also to future equipment that we predict will be developed in the near future, such as wireless communications. The HID has both physical and wireless capabilities in the form of current audio ports, as well as USB-C and Bluetooth connectivity. The device is fitted with a Bluetooth chip for wireless connection to the soldier's Android devices. These connectivity options future-proof the design as they allow for continuous software upgrades as new breakthroughs and technologies are developed. Scott will now talk you through a day in the life.
Meet Sergeant Thomas, a Special Forces operator from the UAV SOC division of the US Army. He has constantly struggled with the HID he uses, as the devices don't cater for the fact that he is left-handed. Additionally, this causes issues with the wires, interfering with his ability to press buttons. However, the new device he uses has solved these issues by allowing the buttons to change and for the cable to change positions. He loves this compact device as it allows for him to control the UAV by using his heads-up display. This new device has saved him endless headaches and allowed him to focus on the critical roles in which he is supposed to be doing. Our new device is both compatible with older technology and allows for it to be easily adaptable to the future technologies down the line. This is an ergonomic design as it allows for wire adjustments, and through its modular design allows for the buttons to be swapped to suit the end user. We've also added Bluetooth chips within the devices to allow for communication to nearby devices such as phones and headsets.
Looking at the current US military market, we can see that the United States has the highest military spending in the world, accounting for 38% of the total global defense spending in 2019. In 2019, the US military spending grew by 5.3% from $649 billion in 2018. For 2021, the US defense budget is $704.6 billion, and this is specifically aimed at improving military readiness by investing in the modernization of armed forces. Looking at the potential market, we have broken down the three military segments by number of personnel. As you can see on the next slide, regular forces represent 81% of the total market. The specialists and special forces operations combined make up the remaining 19%. However, these two segments have the highest budgets. Therefore, we wanted to create a product which was adaptable and could cater to all three segments. Hence, our base unit is designed specifically with the regular forces in mind, with the more complex modular attachments being reserved for the two special force segments. Within our marketing strategy, we plan on highlighting the long-term savings which will come about as a result of the future-proof element of our solution. We aim to provide a strong customer experience which will enhance customer satisfaction and loyalty. We will focus our advertising on the benefits of the personalised element, as well as having a strong feedback loop in place to gauge customer reactions to our product and adapt it accordingly. In terms of costing, we decided to use a cost-based pricing model, which means we decided to focus on our cost of goods sold, i.e. what it costs us to make the product. We then included a 100% markup on this product to find our selling price. As you can see here, the components of our base device include the rotating MOLLE clip, the modularity connectors, and the sliding shield. The total selling price, therefore, comes to $1,335. This is more expensive than the current revision HID with single COM port and ICS port dongle. However, we believe that the extra features make it worth the investment. Moving on to our base model with the added features, you can see that the selling price has increased to $1,427. These extra additions include the joystick and the USB-C connector. Based on the market size, we have conservatively estimated our sales revenues. In year one, we envisage selling 1,000 base units and 500 specialized units with the added features. Moving into year two, we see these figures increase to 10,000 and 1,000 units. And finally, in year three, we envisage selling 20,000 base units and 500 complex devices. We did look at other industries which our product could potentially be used in. Mining and drilling naturally takes place in an extremely harsh environment, so any technological appliances have to be tough enough to withstand challenges like vibrations, dust, moisture, temperature, and pressure changes. These are actually very similar to the standards which military electronic devices must pass. Although there are current HIDs in the market for mining from the company Nepean, these devices currently only have very basic button features. Our base device could potentially be adapted to the mining industry, which is a huge potential market with total operating expenses in 2019 of the top mining companies worldwide being $515 billion. Therefore, it is an industry which Revision Military could potentially go into in the future.
Sustainability and ethics are a large part of our vision for Revision Military. We have aligned our mission to Revision Military's mission and aim for the highest standard of equipment in terms of durability, compatibility, comfort, and overall value. We've also maximised interoperability in terms of our modular design. Attachment components can be continually developed and adapted for future use, and the base unit will never turn into a relic or need to be disposed of, contributing to the environmental sustainability of our design. Essentially, we have future-proofed our design, as indicated in this growth roadmap. We aim to start rolling out the new human interface device by the end of this year, with an estimated 30,000 units sold by the end of 2023, including the specialised units with the modular attachments. It should be noted that this is a conservative estimate and has the potential to be a lot larger in the current market. There will be a constant development of new attachments, with Revision Military remaining at the forefront of military technology for many, many years to come. The prospect for international expansion beyond the scope of just the US Army is also on the horizon, with Revision having offices in 3 different countries, the UK, Canada, and the US. We hope to see this in the future for Revision Military.
We have designed a HID which, through its modular design, has allowed customizability between different target markets with a wide array of controllable features. This new design also provides comfort through solving a major pain point of the wires getting in the way of the user. These key areas are the 3 pillars of the design to this future-proof design.
We believe that our solution has revolutionized the future for Revision. Thank you all so much for listening, and we welcome any questions that you may have.
Okay, so I think our team have finished the presentation. So we will go into the Q&A question period.
Sure. So can we simply ask questions now? Is it possible? Okay, perfect. So great job, guys. Quick question about pricing. So from my understanding, you're going to double the pricing of the product. The US military is already a client. How do you think they're going to react to this considerable increase? And how are you going to leverage marketing and sales strategies to position that to them?
Yes, so firstly, when looking at our pricing, we considered the large military budget. Like I said, it represents 38% of the global defence budget. So we believe that if our solution has features which significantly improve the current model, they will be willing to invest in our own product. And then in terms of marketing strategy, we plan on advertising these key features originally just to the US markets, and then hopefully on a larger scale to more global markets. We know that Revision already has partnerships with some UK and Canadian companies as well.
Okay, perfect. Second question, if I have time. So you mentioned doubling year-over-year revenues, and you mentioned, marketing strategies, global and US. What are the specific channels that you're going to use to market this product?
So originally we looking at kind of the social channels. So we originally considered partnerships with other maybe smaller companies, but because Revision already has such a large market in the US, it's actually the leading military defense company. We believe that their current platform is enough to get to that user range. So we'll use their current advertising platforms such as their television and their socials and their current customer base and the relationships they have with the US military, the Marine forces and the Air forces, so that hopefully we won't have to go to a larger market, but the people who are currently using Revision will actually switch to our product as opposed to the product they currently have because of the advantages and the added features that our product includes for them.
Okay, perfect. And to reach those existing clients, what type of marketing tactics would you use?
Yes, so we think we would send out newsletters to our current clients. We would just talk to them, talk to the leaders of each of the military bases, just explain what our product is. And we hope that once we get the message out there to our customers, that it will, by word of mouth, by these newsletters, it will spread that the advantage features of our product will really be a reason to purchase it. And then our customers will gain from that as well.
Great, thank you.
Hi, so I'm going to go next. I have one question which concerns security aspects of your product. And there's really two aspects that I think I'd like to hear your comments on. First, you mentioned that your product is using Bluetooth. And so I don't know if you know, but Bluetooth has significant security issues related to that. So that would cause a vulnerability and potentially could allow an attacker to take over somebody's control unit. And the second one is the fact that I've noticed on the module that you've added has a nice little sort of a video game colored, 3-4 colored little buttons there. And I was thinking how that would make in a theater of operations, that would make a great target for the people, the snipers who are shooting at these people. They could know exactly where to aim with that. So what would be your feeling about those two security issues?
Well, in terms of the second security issue, in terms of the colors, I think we can adapt the colors depending on the uniform. We just selected those colors because devices that we were comparing and drawing inspiration from had those kind of colors, and also just with our drawing softwares and stuff, they're the most accessible colors for us. But I think Alana has a bit of, I think.
Yeah, I was actually the person who drew them, and it was more to clarify its similarity with the current gaming consoles, and as opposed to the actual colors, because the intention of the device is not to be looked at in the first place. So the pictures were misleading, but we would actually envision them to be the gray and blend in with the background of the HID device. It was more for clarification of the buttons on the thing.
And for the Bluetooth?
Yeah, it was my understanding that Bluetooth's security issues, like Bluetooth only has a relatively short range. And given that a lot of the high-tech people who are using those features would be at a distance, so the person who's controlling a UAV, for example, he won't be up close and personal with people. he will be much further away. So that's why we kind of drew that concern, not being as like, but it is certainly like if you're directly in combat with someone, there is the risk that someone would start hacking it. But we feel like it's just not very a practical way of hacking equipment, because you have to be up close and personal to do that.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a couple of questions. One is with regards again to the Bluetooth connectivity. Are you going to have you taken into consideration EMI or EMC testing with interface if an operator is using, as you said, a portable UAV, which has another interface system, so there's no cross chatter between the two systems?
No, I think that would definitely be something we would need to go and look at and incorporate into it.
Okay. The use of the USB-C connector is good because that's becoming the standard. So that's good. But the question I have is, when you clip on the back end, how is it secured? Because all what we saw in the drawings was it's attached together. But how are they secured as you're in battle? Things vibrate, things can come apart fairly easy and ruggedized. So how is it really connected? Is there a clip? Is it screwed together? I just didn't understand that.
Yeah, so if we can, Scott, would you be able to flick back up to the image? So the yeah, that'll be there. So there's two screws that bolt into threaded pieces onto in the main device.
Okay.
So it's screwed on.
Now the last question, and it's, have you considered the pocket availability for the unit that's currently in size and its width, and adding an extra 2 inches in the width, that it would still fit in the same pocket availability or in the packs that the soldiers wear in their vests? Because if not, there'd have to be an adjustment to those outfits as well.
We envisioned that it wouldn't actually sit into a pocket. If you see on the drawing, there's a sort of crocodile clip, so it clips onto, it could clip onto the top of the pocket.
Okay.
And also the base unit is intended for use by the majority of the regular forces. As Aoife said, I think it was like 81% of forces, so they won't have to worry about that. And then it's the more specialized units which will have the modular attachments. So if they end up having a larger HID device, it'll be a much smaller amount of upset with regard to uniform or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I have one question, like in terms of like engineering solution, what do you think is the most innovative part of your solution?
I feel having the ability for different units to adapt and program their own controllers with interfaces that are specific to their tasks and integrate them into the HID is an innovative solution in itself.
Okay. And is there any concern of weight for adding the module to the device, to the HID?
So the actual module itself can be, depending on the unit, can be very small. And the internals of the unit are quite lightweight. They would be similar to, obviously slightly more advanced, but similar to those in a computer mouse, say, or a video games controller. So they're quite lightweight components in themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Great presentation. Just a question. So I know that they're on the case, there's some concerns about testing to make sure that it's, it can withstand the environmental pressures, it can stay without mold for a couple of days. Did you take into account how this will affect the additional module? Did you figure out how you're going to test it in any way to make sure that it meets with this standard?
So the module is connected with the 2 bolts, and then around the edge there's a sealing gasket. So when it's tightened on, it would be similar to that of a a similar seal to that of a diving torch or something like that. So the seal itself is extremely durable and tough. So it would meet the standards.
Okay, did you make any plans for, if you were going to create it, did you make any plans for how you're going to test if that's actually going to happen? Just a question.
I was under the impression that, say, for example, the IP tests, I believe they're like standardized tests. So water is aimed at the component at this angle and this pressure.
Okay. And then, go ahead. No, that's okay.
To add to Ben's point, we incorporated the testing into our costing in the research and development also.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And then the last question I had was about the pricing. So how did you estimate those prices that you came up with?
So we actually just went straight for a cost-based pricing strategy. So we looked at what extra cost the elements would bring to our product. And then we looked at other very highly technological products, and they tend to have a 100% markup because the research and development costs are so expensive. So in order to offset them costs, we would have to have that large markup. So when we found our cost of the base unit, which was around $600, then our price therefore was $1,200. Then when we added the other modular elements to the more expensive, more advanced device, again, we just used the 100% markup on that. So just using the cost of the individual components and adding them up to get a total cost.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
I have one last question to go in line with the previous judge's comment. Would you be open to having a test and evaluation phase with the customers in order to validate the products that you're selling, or you're proposing, I should say?
Yeah, mentioned in our marketing strategy was the feedback loop, and it's actually really important to us to get the customer's feedback. So we'd be willing to have kind of a trial stage where, like you said, we test the product, we maybe let a small number of people trial it, and then because our product is quite adaptable, we could remove certain modular elements or add different elements on. So testing with the customers would be a very important part of it for us.
I think we are done with the questions.
Yes, I have no more, thank you.
Okay, so now that we are done with the questions, I will ask the judges to go into the deliberation room and to have a 5-minute deliberation before coming back.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And just a friendly reminder, to get into the breakout room, you just go to the bottom part of Zoom, and then you click on breakout room, and then you just join. So who would like to start in this case?
I'm sorry, we can do it concurrently to us inputting it in an Innovat tank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll let. Should I go
you
first?
Go ahead, Joe. You're already there.
Yeah.
I'm there. Okay. Good presentation. Thank you very much.
Practice.
I could tell it wasn't easy because you're all separated from one another. You're all probably your own homes doing this. And it's probably very late in the evening because you all have some Irish accents. So I would figure it's still the middle of the night for you. But well, thank you for staying up and giving us your solution. I'll just start with the presentation. Very good presentation. The only thing that I would have liked to see is at the very beginning that each of the members be allowed to introduce themselves. I know you have a little bit of time, so you're trying to compress it, but it would have been nice to have each of the members present themselves and introduce themselves. There was a little bit of a lag between the talking and the slides. Either at one point in time, the slides were going too fast, or it was the other way around. But I'll give that to the environment that we're in because it's not that easy and you're all in different places. From my point of view, the solution was innovative. It was good. In case you didn't know, a solution of that nature has already been applied where you took a gaming console and applied it in a military application. And in the one instance that I know of, it was applied on a submarine periscope. So they are understanding that the next generation, like your generation, are more apt to using your thumbs and fingers because you know you have memory control on that. So that was a very good point. The only other thing I would have thought, maybe a little bit more research on government pricing, because government pricing would not allow 100% markup. So you'd have to understand that and the complexities of government pricing and the philosophies. And where you obtain your parts, where would they be sourced? Because if you're building for the US, you can't think that you're going to buy something on the market that you see that comes from China, because that wouldn't be acceptable to them. So you have to understand and be willing and be prepared to answer those questions, especially ethical sourcing. So you guys did a good job. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to pass it on to one of the other judges.
Thank you, Joe. Maybe I can go next. So I'll talk more for the marketing component. So great job. I know these competitions are intense and require a lot of effort and is stressful, but with all the technical constraint, I think you all did a great job. Same a bit to Joe, like the pricing for me was something that, I would have liked to have a bit more justification on, and if you have an existing database client target and you double the price, even if there's technology, even there's improvement, it could definitely create friction. And if that's the strategy, you really need to have like strong arguments and able to justify that. I really like the slide, a day in. I don't remember exactly the slide, but I really like that you took the time to actually put yourself in the shoes of a consumer and tell a story. Stories are a really compelling way to explain, an idea or a marketing solution. So that was great. And yeah, overall, I think the marketing side of things and the business side of things was good, but I would like to see a bit more of depth into the recommendations. So you mentioned really high level, what you would recommend from a business and marketing standpoint, but a bit more elaboration on what are the marketing tactics, what channels do you want to use? So you did a great job when I replied, how are you going to reach your existing clients? Newsletters are a great example, but especially in these types of field and public clients, it's a lot of relationships. So how are you going to use your sales force to really engage with those clients? So I think you replied well to the question, but it would have been great if it was included in the presentation. But overall, great job. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Hi again, everyone. So I really enjoyed your presentation. I teach pro skills, and part of my pro skills teaching is how to make a proper presentation. And I think that given the fact that you were all in different places, you worked very well to make sure that the slides didn't seem disjointed. Everyone seemed to be on cue and knew when to go next and knew what to say next, which is something I really admire because it's very hard to do when you're not in the same location. So very well done. There was also a huge smile on your faces throughout the presentations. You were smiling, which is great. I'm going to move very quickly. Just for you to know, when you're making a presentation like this, there's always going to be questions that will come up. So just make sure that you try as much as possible. It's a bit hard, but to account for the things that will come up. For example, like was said before, your pricing, the testing. If you don't know, I like when someone said, oh, I hadn't considered this. This is actually something that we'll go ahead and look into. It's usually a good way to go as opposed to trying to justify it because you keep going into a hole and it's hard to dig yourself out. So it's okay to say, that's a good point that we didn't really think about. I would go ahead and think about it more, and then hopefully I can be given an opportunity to do, justice to the question next time. But overall, I think that you guys did good. So very well done.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I can go next, and I think Mark is going to be the last person to give the feedback. So thanks for your presentation. I really enjoyed the slides. They were well made, and I like your presentation skills. One point that I wanted to mention is about the details and the engineering aspects of your design. Actually, I would have liked to see one or two more slides about the details and elaborating more on the functional part of your design. Other than that, I think everything was fine. Thanks.
So of course, my comment is about the Bluetooth. The other stuff was all mentioned, right? So maybe you guys should watch a few more movies, war movies, and play video games. And you should know that, you know, the Bluetooth on this device is going to be a magnet for, like, it's going to be a target. You know, it's very easy just to know that there's electromagnetic signal, you know, coming from that device is enough to have an automated targeting system and just, you know, shoot at that device, you know, in a big enough caliber, like a 50 cal, and it's gonna go straight through. So I mean, that's something that you, I think that's probably from a tactical point of view, that's a major weakness there. As far as the other points go, all the other points I had, I think have been addressed. It was really about with the pricing, and you may have seen I made a little comment there that maybe the idea when you guys are doing these competitions is, you know, have a couple slides in your back pocket, and you know there's some things that questions are going to be asked about. So have them in the annex, and when the question comes, you have it. You can say, "Oh yes, we have that." You know, I can show you. We're not even going to want to hear all the detail. We just want to know that you've done the work and that you have the information and understand the logic behind it, right? So I think that's probably some place that you guys can improve for next time or next round, or I'm not sure how this works, but all right. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all the judges.
Thank you guys so much.
Very welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Yes,
perfect.
thank you.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are Global Assets. My name is Sarah Nienke. I'm here with Wei, Andres, and Frank, and we are here to do a consulting on our human device interface device. So why are we here today? We were asked to create a new HID that fitted better with the future and create a business plan for revision. Before we want, so the key issues we want to discuss today are, and what we have been asked to do is create a new features for this design. The changes to the current design needed to be from analog to digital. It needed to be more versatile, so it needed to be used with multiple different devices, and it needed to increase the time until it became obsolete. While still being ergonomic, you needed to change the place for left-handed, right-handed, and it needs to be adapted to any war environment. So before we wanted, so you can go to the next slide, please. Before actually creating or thinking of any solution, we wanted to see who is this company. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? What do we want to exploit? What do we want to minimize? The strengths are, this is an established company with $100 million revenue and more than 600 employees. So there's clearly an expertise in the field. They already have contract with the Army, and they already have developed an application that works with their headsets. The weaknesses is, as in the case described, the resources are constrained, both in employees and financially. So we have to make things as simple and efficient as possible. The opportunities. So definitely going digital and making the device easier to use. So instead of having only 2 buttons how can we increase usability? And like, lastly, the threats, other companies that might have more resources available. So here again, it's important to be efficient and to use economies of scale. For who do we want to make this new design? We want to create this design for the regular forces. We want to create a simple design to directly solve the main issues with the current design. So we want to address the issue with the wire management, and we want to create a more ergonomic design. This is relevant for all regular forces. Because of the scale, it will be less expensive to implement, and because it stays longer working, because the features that we're going to add, it will be useful and have a longer life. This will also help to keep this product less expensive. So the first solution will go, Anders will explain. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So here's our first improvement for the new features. It's a new HID design, and by that I mean a new physical design of the whole product on its own. Let's look at the characteristics to begin with. So the first characteristics, we have a knob that will change from channels 1 to 3. When user wants to speak, he or she can push on the knob, and that will allow it to make a rotation and change from channel 1 to 3. Now, the second feature is a rotating volume wheel that is right below the knob. That's easy to use. It's basically like the wheel that you have on your mouse. You rotate forward in order to increase the volume and backwards in order to decrease your volume. Now, this is another feature that we want to implement in our physical design, is that all connections will all be located at the bottom of HID. And new configurations will have military-graded connectors with the connection cases for the connectors that are TP120 and the 6-pin connectors that are used with this product. Next slide, please. Now we got to compare our old design and our new design. When we look at the old design, it is inefficient to use, the use of buttons is very inefficient. So we have 3 buttons to change from channel 1 all the way to 3 and 1 button for volume. Not only that, I want you guys to pay attention to the left corner. You see the buttons are 1 on the right side, 2 on the left side. It's just very confusing. And if I'm a soldier and I'm in an emergency situation, the best thing to do is during that adrenaline rush, I got to understand it has to be very quick. And this kind of, to a certain extent, it gives you some time of thinking where you have to say, am I on channel 1, 2, or 3? Our design is only 2 control methods instead of 4. So instead of having 4 buttons, we only have 2 control methods, and it is just the knob and the volume wheel. Now, if we go on to the next point, the soldier in the old design needs to check which button he or she is pressing to properly communicate. Once again, that is not really user-friendly, especially in a soldier that is in an environment of emergency. Our new design, since there are less buttons and the product is much more user-friendly, soldier can simply turn the knob or the wheel. So this is better for the experience of the soldier overall. They don't need to check as much. They don't need to think as much. It just has to happen. They need fast communication because they're soldiers. Now, in our old design, our connections are fixed into HID and unused wires are dangling around the body. Okay, I actually use another image from our competitor to display how inefficient this is. If you look at the competitor's picture, you have 2 HID connectors right there, and they have 3 wires sticking out of them each. Our biggest market is the regular forces. They don't use that much complex military equipment as specialized forces. So the regular forces might just need 1 or 2 connections. Why are we putting dangling wires that might not be used in a soldier that actually just only needs 2? This is why we're implementing the connections at the bottom. Connections now use military-grade connectors that can be removed for better cable management. And just to back that up, there are many suppliers that actually do this type of connections for military and rough applications. One of them is Connect Technology and Connections. And I'm giving you guys an example in the bottom right, where it's a black connector, which is a bayonet connector. And it's also, I think this would be 9 pins, if I'm not mistaken. 7 pins, actually. Well, basically, it's a quick connect. It's a quick release. So the soldier If it's a regular force, they will think, okay, so I only need one connection today. I need to connect my helmet and my walkie-talkie. As simple as that, they connect it. It's just one cable. They don't need to deal with up to 6 cables from what you can see on the picture right there. So it is a lot better for our soldiers. And that's, we're actually addressing a client issue, which they said that there was an issue with orientation and cable management all over the place. And they wanted better buttons and a better way to change the settings of their device. Now we will go into the second implementation, which is wireless networks, that will be presented by my colleague, Frank.
Thank you very much. So I would like to bring this back up. One of the main problems was to deal with the size and the orientation of the cables and the HID. So for that, we decided to implement a wireless connection. This will completely eliminate the need to have cables, for example, between the headset and the HID that goes in the front of the soldier. This system was developed by ParkStar company, and it was done in collaboration with the government of the United States. So this has a really, really secure encrypted system, because this is the first things that come to your mind when it comes to interception of information between soldiers and the enemy, is that they really have an encrypted system that makes it really impossible for this to happen. One of those wireless command posts is installed at the main base, and the other one is taken with the soldiers as a USB connection that can be installed easily on the headset. And this will require no cables or wires whatsoever. One additional advantage of this is that it's not only allows to communicate between soldiers and the equipment that the soldiers has, but also between the base and many driving equipment, such as tanks and many other things like that. Finally, as there is no need for cables, and with a new design that my partner Andres has introduced, there is a reduction on equipment, so the equipment becomes lighter, and so addressing the ergonomic situation that we face at the beginning of the problem. So next, we are thinking that this is not enough. We want to implement new stuff. So this is where it comes the future developments and add-ons that we're looking to implement. So the first one would be a complete wireless connection. So as we explained, the first is between the headset and the HID, but now we want to go entirely wireless and take out just the radio and the HID connection they have and just go completely wireless. It would alleviate the soldiers' weight. Next one, we want to implement a joystick drone system that most probably will go along with a full digital screen equipment, as seen on the third point. And this is going to be implemented in a way that you can add applications, you can update softwares, and have so many useful things really handy as screen development, or no phone, but just as a tablet that has all the wireless and encryption that is in terms of security. Finally, we are looking into 2 points when it comes to the supply chain network. One is to try to reduce the price of our suppliers. And on top of that, we're trying to find recyclable ways to develop new systems that we have on mind. All of this will be implemented in the new HID that we'll see in future years, most likely. And next, we'll explain how we are going to proceed with this implementation process.
So as you can see, currently we have 4 major components to our plan. The first one is the design of the new component. Second one is what do we do with the old models? And third one is how are we going to market those things? And fourth is how are we going to tackle the future? And how are we going to do the add-ons? So now breaking into more details about each of them. So first of all, about the design of the new component of the HID, the new design, as well as how are we going to implement the wireless chipset into the headset. So we're now 4 months for that. The reason for this short amount of designing period is because Re-Envision already have a experienced engineering team, and they're very comfortable with designing a HID of the sort. So this won't take much time from that. And for the next 3 months, we'll be doing all the testing necessary, and those can be done at the same time. And to ensure the quality, we'll be doing multiple testing, and this is why we're allocating 3 months for the testing. And since it's only 3 months, because we already have tested stuff before, so we know where do we go to test stuff, and we know how to analyze the data that we have. And starting from the month 8, I have allocated another 2 months for design in case of any problem that happens within the testing period. Those 2 months will be allocated to find solution for that. And then again, another 3 months to make sure everything really works. So at the end of the first year, we'll be able to start producing the new model. And next, what about the old models? So of course, if I have a new model, the old model become a problem. So first of all, we need to fulfill all the old orders that are currently in production. And for the orders that have not been started yet, we'll be asking the buyers if they want to get the new model instead, and we'll be offering them all the information they need, and as well, yeah. And that will bring us to the second half of the year, which will finish every production of the old orders that will still happen, and will gradually end the production of the old models. And up next is the marketing plan. So as I mentioned previously, there will be old orders exist. There will be existing old orders, meaning that we're trying to inform them about the benefit of the newer models and try to get them on board. So this is the part where we are trying to convert old orders into new orders, and also we'll be recycling old dongles for their communication ports and the ICA port, as now it's fully modular, so we can recycle them by giving them a discount. And finally, on to the second half of the year, we're now trying to get new customers, and we're trying to get new customers by having like a sort of referral program where we target allies from our existing customers. And finally, as for the add-ons, so for the add-ons, we have to wait for the design for the completion of the new HID. So that will take up to 9 months, and again, will take another 3 months for all the testing to make sure everything is a top quality. And finally, to summarize up, so as you can see, it will take us up to 1 year for the design of the new HID as well as the headset. So this will allow us to have the time to deal with all our old models. And then along the way, we'll be doing marketing for our new prototypes. And finally, we'll be doing add-ons for the new prototypes. Yes, and a brief projection on the revenue, since our initial target is the regular force. So it's normal. We will only be targeting 50% of the regular force, because it's logical to only have 50%, because the U.S. Army won't change the whole army just because you have a new prototype. And on that up, we keep the same price at currently, and that will add up to a revenue of about $134 million. So just to have a quick recap, not only will have a revenue of $134 million, but we'll also create a fully modular, and we'll be able to recycle old models. And also with all the port available, we'll be able to upgrade in the future. And also it's very ergonomic and very versatile. So we'll allow our soldiers to be more prepared in the battlefield. So thank you very much. And now we're open the floor for the Q&A.
So now the judges may ask the question.
Thank you, team. Well, maybe I can start. So I know you just covered it pretty briefly, but can you give us a bit more information about the pricing strategy? Why did you decide to keep the same price if you have an improved product? And what about like inflation and the fact that, you know, all of these aspects? Can you give us a bit more details on your reflection on that?
Yes, of course. So as I have calculated from the data that have been provided, a communication port costs around $30, where a ICS port costs around $87, and the HID plus the dongle costs around $750. And we have decided to keep the same price really because the regular force is really price sensitive. And we're able to keep this price because from now on with the new project, everything will be a economic scale. We're able to produce everything in the same way, because we no longer need the dongle with 1 port, with 2 port, with 3 communication port. Now everything will be the same, and we'll be able to reduce cost this way. So that is the very reason why we're able to keep the price at $30 at the same as before. And that is the price that we're selling previously, meaning that there's already a profit margin included. And as for the price inflation, depending on how the situation will go in the future, we'll adapt the price accordingly.
Okay, perfect. And my second question, so you mentioned as a marketing tactic, building a referral program. Is that the only tactic that you're considering, or you're considering other marketing efforts?
So now, because it's really only a 1-year program, so now we really want the word out. So we're really targeting people that we already know. Let's say Britain, we have an office in the UK. So we have already a very solid relation between us and the UK government. And this way, if they can introduce us to other customers, we can get them more customers this way. But for sure, that is not the only way. But we're also trying to tackle other department outlets of the UK Armed Force. I think currently we're only partnering up with one of the Armed Force. Now we can introduce to other segments of the United Kingdom Armed Force. Yes.
Thank you.
I have one question with regards to your wireless technology. Wireless technology will require additional power sources. So have you considered the additional weight of the additional batteries required to put wireless technology in each of the components? And have you taken into consideration the very heavy D&D or Department of Defense cybersecurity requirements when it comes to doing encrypted networks to ensure that there's no cross chatter or taking of the information?
As I mentioned previously, this network was developed by Parkstar along with the United States security program. So they have already tested that the work is, that the prototype is actually working and that there is no breach into the system of the wireless network. And because we already know that the company already purchased a lithium battery that is focused on lithium battery, we only just proceed with the installation of new batteries that are capable of receiving this Bluetooth into our headset. So we already have the battery systems. We can probably implement or try to look for more efficient battery systems, but it does not require more or less more things like this. As yes, this was taken exactly from the security system of the United States.
So maybe I can quickly go. So you mentioned wireless, but now you're talking about, you mentioned now Bluetooth. Is it?
Oh no, it's wireless. Sorry, it's wireless.
Okay,
So
still Joe's question about power is important because it takes a lot of power, especially if you want to do command and control. You also mentioned you connect to tanks as well. Is that? I heard the word tank in there.
Yes, the purpose of the wireless command post is to place them in locations that are really accessible. So one would be at the base, but it can also be placed on tanks, inside the tanks, as it improves the connection system between the wireless connection system. So it becomes more efficient the closer they are. But the main purpose was actually for this wireless command post was to actually try to improve the communication between systems, transportation systems. That was the first purpose for which it was developed. Now it became a system in which it can be used to try to handle equipment within the same soldier.
Okay. Now my other very quick question is, about the knob and the mouse thingy there. Soldiers in the field would have gloves and would have some kind of firearm and be throwing grenades maybe and stuff. How would they manipulate this device? Have you thought of that with their gloves on in a combat situation?
Yes, actually, I mean, the prototype that I'm showing to you right now, this is a mock prototype, of course, according to the time that we have right now. But from what you can see on the knob, there are knurls that are adjusted to it. And that's actually a design feature that we use in mechanical components that need to have a very friction surface. So not only that, you can also do some surface treatment in there. So have you ever noticed that when you put rubber onto something, it's easier to grab it even though you're wearing gloves on it? So there's a lot of surface treatment that can be put onto it. And that also comes with the fact that this has to be military grade. Definitely when it comes to military grade, it means that it has to be easily accessible and you have to adjust as it is. I put the knurls as a design feature in there exactly to address this matter. It's a fact that the way you design your component, the way the metallic parts are designed, they can actually increase the friction between the soldier's hand and what you're using. So on top of that, if you want even more friction, we can add a surface coating that would go against corrosion and even something that increases the friction as it is. Adding on to that, actually, that also is applied to the connectors that I showed you from Connect that I researched in there. They're also military graded, which is what was our design requirement for this new feature.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, team. Great job on your presentation. Do you mind going to the slide about the pricing?
Fine.
About the pricing, the slide.
Yes.
Pricing, okay.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to find out how did you find the price for the communication port and the ICS port? Did you estimate it? Did you find out from other sources and then just choose the cheapest or the most reliable manufacturer or supplier? Or how did you come up with this price?
So there have some prizes have been given to us. For example, the HID with a single communication port dongle, that's about $760. Whereas the HID with a dual COM port dongle, that's $780. So the difference between those two is one communication port. I simply did a difference, which is $30. And same thing goes with the ICS port as well as the whole HID units. So that's how we find out about approximate. That's the price that was sold to the customers.
Okay, so you're deciding to stay with their suppliers, I'm assuming. Did you get my question?
Sorry, I thought you were, yeah, can you please repeat that? Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, you said the price that was given to you was, you estimated your prices based off of the prices that were given to you. So you're deciding to stay with your suppliers. You didn't find out if it was going to be cheaper some other place.
Yeah, so we have decided to stay with our supplier because one, it's a long-term relationship where we already know about them, and also we're also producing pretty much with all the communication port and the ICS port. They are the same thing. We're just adding the connected. I have a blank. Sorry, the connected.
That's okay.
The connected thing on that. So the whole thing, the whole port, every port on that is still the same. So that's why we're deciding to stay with our current supplier because there's no need to change for a new one since it's already working so well. Yes.
Oh, okay, and then the last question I do have about prices. Joe raised the point, and I'm also wondering. So you said the Department of Defense already created a prototype in conjunction with a different company. So are they just going to give it to you for free, or do you think it's going to cost you something to implement these parts in your new device? So you were saying about the wireless piece in the headset. Do you think that you're just going to be able to obtain it, or are you going to have to pay for it?
So your question is how? So for your question is about the wireless communication unit, right?
Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, the new HID and the headset wireless unit, totally there'll be a combo. There'll be bundle price of $750. So as we'll be sending them all the components, we will be sending them the new HID as well as the headset wireless unit that you will be able to implement onto your headset. So the $750 is the total price for the new HID as well as the headset wireless unit.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I have one question about the dimension of your new design. Have you considered how it's gonna change the dimension of the device and positioning of the device comparing to the previous one?
Yes, actually, okay. From a rough estimate and from seeing the pictures with a scale also, I pretty much visualize the design to be 4 inches in length and 2 inches in width. So I use those same dimensions in my new design. So from what you can see, the bottom, it's sort of like a rounded pyramid, right? The bottom of the pyramid, that's where we have the most connections. That is our 4 inches in length. And towards the top, I wanted more space so that there's more space for the soldier to move its fingers. I made a design compensation and added 1/2 inch. So it's 2.5 inches in width from the bottom to the top of the pyramid and 4 inches in length on the other side. Now the orientation is different. You're right on that point. Before they had a device of 4 inches along their body. Now it's 4 inches horizontal to their body. Why did I choose that design feature? Is because I don't want any wires sticking out into the sides. If someone's running, they don't want to have wires all over the place. What I wanted to do is I want to have a flow of wire management towards the bottom, which is exactly on those belts that they're going to have all of their devices. So the wires go downwards and the length is more towards the chest as it is. So I changed the orientation and I increased a little bit of the width in order to make a design compensation for the knob and to have only one control feature.
Okay, and do you think is it going to change maybe like the way that they gotta fit it in their clothes currently? Maybe they have to also change the design of the clothes or not?
No, because this also would be compatible with mullet clip. I think that's how they call it. But this would also work for a mullet clip. And the great thing about mullet clips is that they're very adaptable. They can be adaptable to many type of devices. If you can see in Army equipment, mullet clips are what is used by a lot of equipments and they're fixed. So this would be compatible with a mullet clip as well. And mullet clips, even better, you can, if you're talking about the length instead of being horizontal and vertical now being horizontal, what is also great about a mullet clip is that you can change it from horizontal to vertical as well. So this would also go well with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I think we are done. We can go.
Okay. So now that the Q&A is finished, I will invite the judges to enter the deliberation room.
Am I going? I thought I would let Anne go first.
No, go ahead, Marc-André, go ahead.
Okay, well, I think the big issue that I had, because I know I expect some of the others are going to say, so I'll just give you my quick points. Where I really had an issue is with really two things. I had bigger issues is, in your presentation, the slides with the timelines got me really confused. I think there were just too many timelines, and I was very confused, I think, by the end, but maybe it's because it's the time of the day. And then the technically, the knob thing, I just don't see how that could work in a military environment. The 3 buttons, I know you didn't seem to like it, but with the big gloves and they're using it here and they're doing this, and I think that's something that they're very familiar with. So there may be other options, maybe looking more towards a video games type of console kind of thing. Yours gave me the impression of Pong, the first video game I ever played, because I'm much older than you. It looked like a Pong console and not like a, one of those PlayStation thingies. So I think there's a little bit more work there, but that'll be it for me. I want to leave more time for the others.
Thank you, Marc-André. So great job, team. I know it's intense competitions and you put a lot of effort in the presentation. So in terms of the positive side, I really like the fact that you use like marketing concept to explain, especially the analysis at the beginning, like SWOT. These types of framework really help to explain in a clear way, your thoughts. So that's good. I like the fact that you presented like the old concept and the new model side by side, and you really took the time to compare. I think for somebody that's less technical savvy, it could really help them situate of the improvement of the product. In terms of the points that I would recommend maybe for the next round, try to brand your presentation to the client. So if you pitch to a client, the details, like for example, having the logo client, using the color palette, really helps the overall presentation. And the other thing is also leverage data in order to justify your decisions or your recommendation from a marketing standpoint. Like for example, your target audience, you mentioned, regular forces, have data to support that in order to justify your choices. But overall, good job. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Great job on your presentation, all of you. Just a couple of things to note. So first of all, I like that all of you are looking sharp, and that's really good when you're going for a client presentation. So very well done on doing that. when you're presenting, you want to watch your timing. So you want to allocate appropriate amounts of time to each slide. And what happened was the first few people took their time, and then you realized, oh my God, time is going to fly. And then you started to rush. So you want to make sure that you practice your presentation. I know the time was short, but you want to practice at least once or twice so you could know how things will flow seamlessly. It always helps you to be less nervous, and it helps you to know what to cut down on as opposed to spending too much time saying certain things. I would say again, this is a case competition and you're supposed to be presenting like you're talking to a client. So you want to avoid things like, oh, they asked us to do this, so this is what we did. You want to say it as if you're actually pitching, you know, an idea that is yours, not because someone told you to do it. And then I was also not very convinced about your explanation of how you're going to bundle the wireless service and I forgot the words as well. My words escaped me. But the parts where you said you were going to bundle the device and the wireless service, people are not just going to give you their ideas just because you're working together. You have to pay for things most of the time or work out a solution, and that would usually increase the cost. So just bear that in mind as well when you are thinking about these things. But overall, I think you did good. So very well done.
Thank you.
Joe, I think you are mute.
Thank you. The number one thing people do. I just have a couple comments. I'll start with the presentation. You started off very, very fast, and you went by the slide that introduced the members so fast. In a business environment, you give people an opportunity, whether it's a few seconds, just to introduce themselves so everybody can hear everybody's voice, and you go with it. So just slow it down at that point. There was some poor microphone issues with, I was having problems hearing one of the members, and that should have just, quick comms question whenever you change, and we do it at work. Whenever we change from one person to the other, can people hear me? Is everything okay? And then we move forward. The other presentation, the use of a SWOT analysis. I don't know who came up with that idea, but that was excellent. That's one of the one things we do from the industry point of view when you're presenting a business case. First thing is a SWOT or BLUF, which is bottom line up front, and you summarize what the issues are. So very good job on that. Thank you very much. And then I got confused. On one slide, you're talking about a wired solution. On the next slide, you're talking about a wireless solution. And I just didn't know where we were going on that. And I had to go back and review the slides to understand what you were doing. And like Marc-André or somebody else mentioned, the schedule, the 4 graphs that you had of the 4 years, I wasn't sure if this was concurrent, if it was linear, how it was all going to work. So next time around, just put some fictitious year dates. You know, you can go out to Star Trek dates if you want, go out to 2500s, or just use this year's dates. Just puts it more into relevance for people when you're making a presentation so they understand. Other than that, very good, and thank you very much for the work that you did today, guys.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think all the points that were mentioned by my colleagues, so I have no more comments to give. Thank you.
I believe that was everybody. All right, then. Great job, team. Before you guys leave, do you guys have anything to say to the judges? We still have a couple minutes left.
Thank you very much for the feedback in the first place. It was really hard for us, really fast to try to do everything, but it's really useful to know exactly what to do for the next case competitions. Like just to prepare ourselves in terms of everything, engineering perspective, and then the financial side that brought up many things actually in our presentation. So thanks about that.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're very welcome. It's difficult in the environment that you're in, but or that we're all in, but I think you did a very good job. Thank you very much.
All right, perfect. So global assets, great job on the presentation again.
Okay, so the product or the prototype that we are presenting today is a revolution in the era of warfare, and we have named it as PKRS-21. So we have come with two variants of it. The first one is very basic. It's like work with the wrist mounting, and it uses the normal comm center app2 features that was mentioned in the PDF. And it's really small, compact, and portable. So it can it's easy to like carry with for the soldiers during the warfare, and it has very simple controls so that when you are like in a warfare or like in a battle, so you don't have to like hassle around managing all this stuff. And it has smaller dongles so that the things are really compact and the signals are very efficient, and the wires are really hidden so that they don't have to worry about their arms and ammunition getting entangled with the wires. The second one is very advanced. It is completely wireless, works on the version 5 of Bluetooth, and it's a completely integrated system. Like you have a wrist oriented wearable tech, which is connected to a helmet system, which comprises of speakers and mic, and it's empowered with lithium polymer ion batteries, all the integrated system. And it has a small, I would say not small, but front night vision goggles, which will help you to assist during night and helping reading the messages. So that's pretty much what we have to present as the two variants.
All right, so we compiled a couple sketches. We did not have time to make CAD drawings of products and put them together. But for sketches on the left side here, we have listed a version 1 model, which is on the top is a side view. Shows all the ports for the connections to your radios and helmet and everything you need, which is the basic version. It shows the front view, which has 2 straps, so it's held secure to your wrist firmly so that it doesn't shake, move. You can access it easily, just bring your wrist up, look at it. Then since for the version 2 on the left side bottom, I have a battery pack listed, which is a 20,000 milliamp battery backup, just in case your helmet battery or your battery dies or something, which is a very rare case scenario, but just a backup just in case. So we have that pictured there. And then for version 2, as you can see, compared to version 1, it's a much thinner, sleeker, less design with more tech inside it. The wrist straps have more adjustability on size. It has buttons, less ports needed, so there's no wires completely. It runs on Bluetooth 5.0 in its own system. And then it also has radio connectivity for radio to talk to your teammate or back at the base. And then there's a very light sketch of the helmet, which shows that around the back of your head, it will have the battery and all the technology placed. And then there's padding on the top and front. And then it shows a little bit of where you can see out where the goggles would come down for night vision and such, and the straps on the bottom.
Target audience. So Revision Military is a military products firm. So we sell all these military products and we're trying to sell it around the world. At first we started with Canada, then we moved into America, then Singapore, then the Danish military, and then the United Kingdom. Our whole goal is to try to promote our products through every single military. And so our version 1 that we came up with is for the general forces. That makes up about like 25% of America's army. And then the version 2 is the special forces and FBI, which is the higher pricier one. And this is for special forces and FBI because they use a more complex, sophisticated version as their missions are more complex and sophisticated. Another thing that our product can be used for is underwater as well, just because Kevlar, the material we use, can be used in extreme temperatures. So it's not just for the army, we can use it for commercial use or underground, like underwater research.
So our marketing idea was to mainly ignite the patriotism in almost every country. So most of the military, if our target audience is military, we need to target them by using patriotism. And most of the countries that do have the bigger reach of military, their idea is to promote their military more than other people. And since they have competing militaries, the end goal of every country is almost to promote and get the most newest technologies. Since our product is going to be a new technology that we're going to be launching, that is why we are going to promote it through patriotism and also go into the idea of competitors. Since we don't have a lot of competitors, so it gives us the advantage to actually use the current relations that we have with all the companies. Like Shriman mentioned, we have companies which are in Canada, USA, Europe. So if we expand into those, looking at those, since they are the biggest countries of the world, other smaller countries will also follow and buy our product. Other than that, we're also going to do conferencing, and we're going to go into conferences and make demos, live demonstrations. You are going to see a small example of that later in our presentation, but we will do a much more professional and a higher class demonstrations in the conferences that the military conducts to promote our product. And then obviously we're also going to put a advertisement on our website as well.
All right, so we took a few products that I have lying around to mock up what we are trying to present here and show you a visual representation. So I have some things here. So I will put on these.
Wait, you have to like share your screen or like show your screen and get out of the slides for that, so we could see your screen. So Rubu, could you get out of
I can stop sharing it and then you can pin the screen of Katel to see the demonstration.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
All right. So this hat will be representing a helmet that will have these type of microphones, but these will be inside the helmet. And then I have a watch and a phone used to represent the wrist-mounted unit. In just a second. All right. And then I have the night vision goggles that will be used. And then the backpack. So would someone like to explain what I'm doing here?
Yeah, so basically what Katel is equipped with is a completely wireless system and a wired system as well. So whenever he receives a signal from the base, like target to alpha, there's a target and there is near about a bomb near to you and there's mines close to you. So he will respond to the message and that will also read out the notification to his ears. So get aware about that. And he has a mic enabled close to his mouth so that he can communicate to the base directly. And whenever there is night or there is dark, so he can say enable night vision. So the glasses will pop out and he can see and ponder around and see the surroundings. So that's pretty much the prototype that will help and assist soldiers in the warfare.
Also, another thing is Keto can change his eyewear, so it's not just night vision. With the product on his wrist, he can change it from night vision to regular vision or just like protective goggles. So there's different visor options basically.
And secondly, all the batteries are like lithium polymer, so like all the devices are very, very sound enough in terms of battery, and there are minimal wirings that are connected to the whole integrated system, and the soldier would be carrying only I guess 50,000 milliamperes of like extra battery of lithium polymer to support the extra battery storage if in case anything fails during the warfare.
Also meeting the specifications of the HID, the material used is Kevlar, which can withstand the high and low temperatures and the mold of 28 days, as well as the final guideline, which is to be protected from contact.
Thank you for listening to our presentation, not just project. We will definitely have a much more professional presentation if we were able to do it together. But for now, this is what we wanted to demonstrate to you guys, just so you know what our ideas were and you could have a visual proof of that. But this is the end of our presentation. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Not worry. But did you look at the pricing issues and for your proposal? Do you have any information on how much you're going to sell this for? And I'd really like maybe I don't know if it's Punito who's mentioned the patriotism as a marketing strategy, and being Canadian, I'd be interested in knowing how that works exactly.
Okay, I'll go with them first until they actually decide for the prices. So we've explained this a little bit more in our business plan, if you have a chance to read that. But mainly, as Americans, that we've grown up as Americans here, so patriotism is huge here, sometimes even radical. So we're kind of going
sometimes too much, yes.
Yes, I agree with that. So that is not the approach we're going to take. We're trying to take a subtle, more professional, sophisticated approach to that. Take it into just taking that tap into a person and making sure if they have a duty to fill towards their citizens, we're going to target the companies that actually are for our investors. We can target companies who do actually invest in products that are more military based or do help the military or the government in a way. And also, like we'd mentioned that we were going to go to conferences over there. We'll definitely have some sort of a motivational speaker or a influencer speaker who can kind of explain much better than I can, at least, and actually help them influence a little bit more and help them guide through the process and tell them what we actually stand for, because our process is just to make the lives of the soldier easier. We're not trying to we're not really trying to sell a product here. It's mostly our job was to make the lives of the soldier easier. So in the end, that's the message we want to convey.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a price?
As far as pricing goes, we have this all listed in our business plan. So for the version 1, slightly less technology product that is more focused towards the general army, which has a lot more personnel, is around $900 selling price. Then for the version 2, which is meant for the special forces, with much less personnel, seeking the highest technology and the most latest in what we can put into these products, with a price of $1,600.
Okay, thank you. I'll let my colleagues ask more questions.
I would like to add, to follow up on the patriotism question for the marketing side. I think it's a great idea and angle, especially in the COVID crisis. Like, we definitely see that there's a bigger trend in buying local. My only concern of using this strategy is that as it's the company is actually Montreal based. How will you overcome that challenge? How are you going to build patriotism in the United States if the company is actually a Canadian company?
So patriotism is regional. Obviously, it varies country by country. So our marketing plan was to go like by each country, make it specific for each country, the patriotism.
But so US is the main one that you're targeting, right?
Well, for this one, we assumed that our whole plan was to sell to the American Army because of the data that was given. But in general, we would say patriotism for each country. So it would make a message specific to Canada or United Kingdom or Denmark or Singapore or America.
Furthering what Shriman has mentioned, the United States, out of all countries in the world, spends the most on their military, army, and overall. So targeting the U.S. Army a little bit more seemed more favorable, because we had figured that they would be willing and able to spend more on our products and like it more.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's a good call. My only concern is, as the product is made in Canada, it's going to be hard to advertise it and market it as a US product, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind to cut in there, but the product, even though the company is going to be Canadian, I don't really think US will have an issue with that, only because their main strategy, or any country's main strategy, would be to just promote their country and to be better than others. So that is the idea we're going to attach with patriotism. So we're definitely going to tell them, okay, if you buy our product, this is how you're going to be better than others. And that better than others mentality can actually help us promote in actually, I think, any country. But we will definitely do a lot more research on the country that we're going to be focusing on, which could be very particular to whichever one we actually get into. So if we're going to promote it in Europe, we're definitely going to have a more focused group on Europe and actually develop a marketing strategy just for that. But this was just the overall strategy or the overall goal that we wanted to convey over that. But definitely, depending on the country we get assigned or we want to promote it to, we would definitely make it focused relation on that.
Also, I want to add a point over here is that, like, since you mentioned like it's a Canadian company that's marketing all the products to different parts of the world concerning with the US. So like, I think like we could also bring a team of veterans with us who have been experiencing the real warfare. And so like, it's like a kind of, you know, like, kind of a connection that they can establish with the country, because if you're a veteran of a particular country, tells the people of the country that this is beneficial for our country and and will benefit us in the near future, so that they can rely on them more credible than us, because we are, as a company, won't have a great connection with the people as a veteran would have, because he has done or she has done a lot for the country.
Great, thank you.
I have a couple of questions on your solutions. Number one, you want to put the battery pack in the back of the helmets. And the soldier's helmet's already pretty heavy with the headphones, the microphone, the goggles, and everything else. So you're applying a lot more weight onto the neck. And how have you done any testing on the fact of having a battery on the back of the brain and the effect that this may have long-term on the operator or on the wearer?
I guess we did not take that in consideration when we thought about that. But one thing we could do to obviously mitigate that issue is maybe move the battery to like the back or the hip in future versions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this is a battlefield component. So I would assume that this is a liquid crystal display or some sort of flat screen technology like an iPhone or whatever else that would be on the wrist. And you know, we've all dropped our phones and we've all shattered our screens. Yeah. So you're in a battlefield here and you're running and you fall. The soldier may fall or he may be in combat or hand to hand. What are you going to do to protect the screen from being unreadable?
So I have a suggestion for that. Like, so screen would have a covering over it, right? So whenever the message pops up, so the covering will automatically open up.
Okay.
So saying that, okay, so a soldier, you have a message from the base, and then as soon as he responds to the message, it will like, or when he indulges in a combat, it will like go back to his position, so that the screen is not injured in any situation.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Also, for the screen technology, it will not be touchscreen. Therefore, there will be a lot more protection on it and less technology able to make it thinner. There'll be controls and buttons on the side of the screen so that it can be more reliable, as touchscreen technology with gloves and different things on your hands would be very, very hard to use as well. While with buttons, you can actually feel the area and already just with muscle memory know what you need to go and what menus you need to reach.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation. I have one comment about like slides. I think it would have been better to have a kind of like introduction before you just explain your solution. You know, at the beginning, like what is your motivation and what's the problem that you are going to solve and what already exists in the market, how you're gonna improve that, and then you can go and explain your solution. So that's something that you may consider for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do that for sure in the future.
Would that be all of the feedbacks? Does anybody want to add anything else?
I think, Demi, are you going to give any?
Oh, no, I said I don't have any questions. We're going to give feedback later on, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any. Everyone has
Yeah,
asked.
I'm sorry. I think I already started giving feedback.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, so as of now, I'm going to ask you guys again to join the deliberation room.
There they are. Hello.
Hello.
So guys, first, I want to tell you, the fact that you guys did this with no coaching, I think is amazing. Because, the teams, all the other teams, they come in and they've been coaching, they've been preparing, they've had a lot of support, and it really looks like you guys didn't. But you still came. So that's amazing. That's great. And you should feel really good about that. And keep in mind that, in university, we're there to learn, and we learn by making mistakes. And so today you'll be doing a lot of learning. But it's a good thing, okay? Because considering the situation, you did a really, really good job in this situation. But obviously, I mean, I'm sure you've even seen, in some of your facial, visual or body language show that I think a lot of the mistakes you'd made from a presentation point, from how you deliver it and all that. But I want you to really know that we appreciate the fact that you did a good job in the circumstances, and I'll let my colleagues continue with the rest.
Yeah, for sure.
Next.
Oh yes, go ahead.
Okay. So just to piggyback off what Mark said, I think you did a good job giving what you had. Things I really liked about your presentation, I liked the fact that you did the demonstration. So it's great to play a video or to do a demonstration when you're giving a presentation so that it breaks the monotony and then we can all flow along. I think that was really good. I also really like that when you were asked a question that you had not considered, you owned up to it, because it's better than trying to pretend like you know the answer, because the person asking you probably already does know the answer. So it was good that you said, oh, actually, I didn't think about the effects of the batteries on the back of the head, but that's something we're going to research about. And you turned it to a positive immediately, which is also very good. Just a few things. When you're doing a presentation, be cognizant of your environment. Also, many of you are leaning forward like this. So it's not very helpful because it doesn't make you look confident in any way. And then you just want to make sure that you try to make an effort with your outfit, especially if you were emailed to do so. You want to try. So at least those things could really help you. But overall, again, I think you did well. And then also lastly, I must mention that you did do a business proposal separate from your PowerPoint, but we had no idea because you didn't mention it and you didn't show anything about it. So you made all of that effort and we were just unaware. So you want to make sure that if you go through the effort of putting something like that, you mention it and at least open it up for us to see so we can know that you actually know what you're doing to a large extent. So again, you did a great job considering that you didn't have anyone to help you through it. And thank you for coming. It was very brave to do so.
Thank you. Yeah, I fully agree with my colleagues. I know it can be stressful to look for your coach and everything. Like you have probably lived through a stressful time just trying to track that person down. So, but sometimes it's also part of real life, right? Sometimes your manager is supposed to be there and support you, but for some reason they have an urgency and they can't come. So as Marc-André mentioned, I think it's a great learning opportunity for you because it's things that can happen in real life. I was completely in love with the demonstration. I think it was clever using, things that you had at home to really engage with the audience. So I think that was great. The other thing is make sure, and I don't know the context of what happened exactly, but I know that in the document that was provided, there was like key things that we needed to cover throughout the presentation. A few things were missing. They were including the business plan, but they were not including the presentation. So make sure to always read the brief and always make sure to have it like a checklist to validate, are we covering all these points? Because you still had time to present and there was key elements that were missing. And I think you could have used that time to actually cover those elements. So overall, good job. As mentioned, really brave, and I wish you the best in the rest of the competition. Thank you.
Well, good job, guys and girl. And Puneet, Thank you very much. It's like my colleagues have said, not having a coach is difficult. And I can only imagine what you guys went through to try to do this. Also in the environment, you're not at all together. You're all separate and in different parts of your campus or at home. What I liked was your honesty in your answer. I don't have the answer. We didn't think of that, but we'll take it into consideration. That is always a good fallback. And for the presentation, all the information that we were looking for, that we asked you questions for, was in the business plan. I got a chance to download it afterwards and look at it. Everything was there. So it was great that you built the business plan. Then you should have used the business plan and split it amongst yourself to build up your presentation. Like you had the SWOT analysis at the back of the business plan. You could have put that into one slide. You could have had the pricing brought in because you had it all there, etc. And so all the information was there, but you just didn't get a chance or weren't coached to bring it into the presentation. But hats off to you. I like the innovative approach. I like the innovative solution. And good luck to you for the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Like similar to my colleagues, I think most of the comments that were given by them. Just wanted to mention, I really like your creativity in your presentation and slides. So you had lots of new ideas, and demonstration part was really interesting and something different. Maybe it was just the lack of having a coach to actually put everything together and, make it more structural. But in general, you made a very good effort. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you to all of the judges and the team. Great job in the presentation. Yeah, really, good luck with the rest of the competition. You guys are free to go. And I think we'll soon announce the result after, I think in about 2 hours-ish. And then, yeah, before you guys go, do you guys have anything to say to the judges?
Can I ask, where can we find the results after?
For that, Christina, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, so the results will be communicated. Most likely they will be posted on our website. So we will send out a mass message to all participants. Great question.
Thank you. And then I would like to add to all the coaches and everyone here, thank you for your guys' time. Yes, not having a coach was very difficult for us. We had about a week and a half. It was very last minute. We tried our best. And we also we were unsure. We thought that you guys would be looking at the business plan or going through it during the presentation. We were unsure. And there were a lot of points that we didn't know for sure, bunch of last minute things. So thank you for your time and for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
I would like to add one more point over here. I want to thank my entire team who worked along with me and put this whole thing that is nearly impossible to possible stuff. And we came here and showed up in front of you with great, I would say, bravery, and did our level best without the help of coach. So I believe it was the best of our efforts that we could have done. So thank you so much for having us over here.
Yes, thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate it. We'll definitely take into account if we move on to the next level, but definitely appreciate all your honesty and feedback. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, team.